Ladies and gentlemen of the committee.
Ms. Kaptur is recognized for 7 minutes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, there are three essentials to life. The first is fresh water, and then food, and thirdly, energy. There is no doubting that simple expression. The purpose of my amendment is to strike the instructions that would cut the energy programs that make it easier for families that own homes and those who use energy to have lower bills. And it relates to the incentives that are in the Inflation Reduction Act, and it essentially rejects the Republicans' plans to repeal those programs and tax credits. And we know businesses and families are having trouble making ends meet, and we know that regardless of where your energy comes from, if you can get a better price, do it, do it. And on the clean energy front, just know I'm from Ohio, so Thomas Alva Edison was born in my district and invented the light bulb that transformed the 20th century. I was privileged to represent a man also that I believe to be the 21st century's Thomas Alva Edison, a man named Harold McMaster, who invented the most important domestic solar manufacturing company anywhere in the world, and it's housed in our region. So we have been a part of the invention class in Ohio, in the private sector, and watching this industry grow and seeing what a difference it could make. It's not the only type of energy source we have in the country, but we can't stop American progress. And so my amendment rejects the majority's plans to raise energy costs for America's families, and their really rather extreme plans to repeal programs and tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act to grow this sector. People talk a lot about Ohio has the largest natural gas discovery on the continent, and we are developing that. The region I live in, we have nuclear power. We hope to get advanced nuclear power very soon. We hope to get hydrogen, green hydrogen. We're working very hard for that. But we're not rejecting renewables because they now represent 15% of the energy load of this country, and they're growing. I guarantee you, in every place you live, you're not pulling up thermal energy from the sewers. Shame on you. And it's because we need to educate our people on other sources of energy that can be useful to the American people as we move toward 500 million people in this country. Our grid is old. We have a lot of problems we have to deal with. But so do the people paying their energy bills. And so what my bill does, it doesn't get rid of the incentives that we have in the bill to help people lower their energy costs, whether it's business or whether it's households. And without doing so, we're really kind of betraying the American people and also our inventor class, the class that's moving us forward to get rid of all the old technology and replace it. So that's really what this bill is about. I wanted to also place on the record, as you're thinking about my statement, talking about the 2017 trillions of dollars of debt that have been added because of the tax cuts that were in that bill back in 2017. Let me just give you a couple numbers to think about.
You would like to place into the record, you said?
I would,
yeah,
sir.
without objection.
I ask unanimous consent, but it basically shows how disproportionately that particular tax cut benefited the highest income households. In 2025, the last year before the temporary changes to the personal income tax and estate tax provisions expire, households in the top 1% of the income distribution will receive an average tax cut of $61,090.40. That's more than the average wage in my district. That just tax cut to one individual. In contrast, those in the middle quintile of the distribution will receive an average reduction of $910. That helps our working families. It doesn't betray them. While those in the lowest quintile get $70. Okay, so that's why we racked up just from those tax cuts already $2 trillion. And I would very respectfully disagree with the gentlelady who said we have a spending problem. We may have spending problems, yes, but we also have revenue problems. And I hope that those on this committee will think about, let's look at the revenue side as we try to balance the budget. We can do this, not over 1 year. We can do it, but we've got to look at the revenue side and be fair to all of Americans. So I ask you, in terms of this particular amendment, to recognize that clean energy already represents about 15% of our base load, and it's growing. The technologies are developing, and every single person has to live somewhere, and they all have energy bills. So we've made enormous strides in helping our people move to the future and not live in 1946. And we know that we have to do better. Over 400,000 new clean energy investments, including in manufacturing jobs, and over $422 billion in new investments have been announced across our country, including even in wind manufacturing plants, which, by the way, is big business up in the Great Lakes where I represent. So the bulk of new clean energy projects are in districts represented also by Republicans. In fact, we have a chart here that shows most of the clean energy, and maybe someone could help me hold it up so both sides of the aisle can see this. I mean, most of the innovation is in Republican districts. So this is something to think about as you consider this amendment. These investments include 213 solar and wind manufacturing plants, and the bulk of the new clean energy projects are distributed in what we call here, this is like the battery zone. It goes all the way from Ohio down to Georgia, but most of that is in Republican districts. So as we make strides in energy diversity, politics should never jeopardize the security of the American people, including in one of the essentials, and that is energy. Some of the cuts proposed in the overall bill will actually lower the benefit that households receive to pay their energy bills right now. And in many places in the country, those are going up along with their property tax bills now, the cost of food and everything else. So this is an area where I would really ask you to think about voting for this amendment as the Inflation Reduction Act's tax incentives are becoming even more important. As electricity demand grows, rates are going up across the country. As we increase domestic manufacturing, thank God, and reshore some of it, not fast enough for me, the needs for modernization and electrification, and also for data centers, which are big energy hogs. So I ask you to please vote no on this, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Gentlelady's time has
Excuse me,
expired.
vote yes, excuse me, vote yes.
Gentlelady's time has expired. Is there a member who would like to claim time in opposition to the amendment?
Mr. Chair, I claim the time in opposition.
Mr. Obernolte is recognized for 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me express a little bit of frustration. I know we've been here a few hours. We are about midway down what we call the Tier 1 amendments, but I mean, I would categorize these differently. I think that's charitable to say Tier 1, Tier 2. I'd say substantive and unsubstantive, right? So these are the non-substantive amendments we're working through. The last few have been strike Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce, and Agriculture, strike Ed and Workforce, strike Agriculture, but not Ed and Workforce. This one is strike Energy and Commerce, Natural Resources, and Ways and Means. All right, so we're going to have the same debate that we've been having for the last couple of hours here, but with a little bit of twist, the gentlewoman talked a lot about energy and her passion for not cutting energy programs. I sit on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and we've had discussions about reconciliation, but we have not made any decisions about what the plan would be for what would be, what the spending reductions would be, what the spending enhancements would be. All there are ideas right now, and all there is in this bill that the gentlewoman's amendment would strike is a number, right? So to say that this defeats the Republican plan to cut energy programs, I think, is very disingenuous. Also, just to make the point, by striking the Ways and Means reconciliation instructions, you're enabling the largest tax increase in American history to occur. And this hurts a lot of people, not just the billionaires that you've been railing against. This hurts average American families. This would be an enormous tax increase on well over half of Americans. The average tax increase would be about $1,700 for the average American family of four. That is not millionaires and billionaires we're talking about. That is ordinary working class people, and we cannot do that to them. They are already struggling. In a larger sense, let me point out something that I also reinforced in my opening. We have a horrible problem with our budget deficit and our national debt. Our deficit is going to exceed $2 trillion this year. It's almost 1/3 of all federal spending. And the CBO has indicated that in a couple of decades, we won't even have enough revenue coming in to pay even the interest on that national debt if we don't stop digging the hole that we're digging. So the solution to that is we've got to get spending under control, and I welcome substantive discussion on that topic, but what all of these amendments are suggesting that the right thing to do is not even look to reduce spending. I mean, that's what setting a number to zero in a reconciliation instruction is. Reconciliation exists for the purpose of decreasing the budget deficit. And if we say we're not even going to look, why are we here? Why are we a budget committee? So I would respectfully urge opposition to the gentlewoman's amendment. And if I could take a point of personal privilege here as I close, I think it matters to Americans the words we use when we talk about each other on this dais. And I think it's true of every one of us that we represent both Republicans and Democrats. And so I would urge us to be a little bit more cautious in the language we're using and not talk about how one party hates America and is looking to destroy the working class, or, it's just, I don't think that that's the reality. I think behind closed doors, we're all friends, and I would hope that we could work on this together. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. Ms. Kaptur is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you very much, and I just ask support of the amendment. And I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. The question is on agreeing to the amendment offered by Ms. Kaptur. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
And then I ask for a roll call, please.
Roll call vote is requested pursuant to the bipartisan unanimous consent